Well, good evening again, everybody. Welcome back to this evening's images. I hope that you will agree with me that we've had some great images this evening, and that the plenty more to come. I know there's plenty more to come. You don't. So who have we got back with us? Jill looks like she got there fairly early again, and Jim's on the front row as well. So welcome back to one and all. What else have we got down here? Ray's back. Does Ray have a... Oh no, he's on the run later on, so he'll not have a glass of wine. Nick Cam, welcome to you both, Nick and Gromit. Welcome this evening. Hope you're enjoying the pictures so far. Sue's back. Michael Hudston, I'm back. Yeah, I must admit, Michael, I can't remember whether I welcomed you earlier on. Probably did. Just as a matter of interest, Michael, you were saying that last week you got, I think it was last week, you've got the new Olympus. I did send you an email asking if you would like to join in an Olympus night with the Olympus users. With the Olympus rep. That's a lot of Olympuses, but if you could just let me know in the chat here if you're interested, that would be appreciated. Basically, it would be a great night for you to, even if you don't have a lot of questions, being a new user, you could listen to the questions that we were asking, and I'm sure that you would pick up quite a lot. So, Michael Hudston, if you could just let me know if you would be interested in joining us on an Olympus night, that would be great. Just seen Vera's popped up. Hi, Vera. That's Vera Holmes there. Welcome. I was a bit late. Yes, I would like to join. That's great. What I'll do, I'll get in touch with everybody now because I've got all the answers now, and I'll be able to organise a night for us. So no more on that one. Who else has popped in? Gail back again. Just want to thank everyone who has donated. Yes, you did extremely well again, Gail. The only difference this year is you had to work for your money. Because I noticed you had to do the cutting yourself. So I do believe, if I remember rightly, that last year you had somebody do it for you. But this year, of course, you had to do the old job yourself. I must admit, it wouldn't take me all that long, would it? So I'm sure it would be off in a snip. Ollie members, yeah, Graham H has put that the Olympus members for this talk would need to download Zoom onto their computer, laptop, or whatever. Zoom is a program where you can see each other, and it's not necessary to have a camera, but it is best to have a camera. But we'll talk to you on that one, Mike, anyway. Mike Hudston, do you have a webcam? I see you've put I have a main, but I'm not quite sure on that little bit there. So with very helpful comments from Jill telling him where I'd missed. Just seeing Gail's comments there. I must admit, everybody, I don't know if you have or haven't, but Gail did brave the shave for Macmillan, and was hoping to raise a little bit of money for them, and so she has now got quite a little bit less hair than she had original. So if you haven't donated to Gail, then please do so. Great cause. Right, Michael Hudson, a portal Facebook. Yes, you'll need to download Zoom. If you're a little unsure or anything, all you need to, you don't have to sign up on Zoom. All you have to do is to download the program, and you'll be invited to join the talk. So if you're all confused about that, I'll have a word with you. Well, thanks for returning, folks, and I must admit I had about 3 or 4 little sips of water through that, and notice I said 3 or 4 sips, so I got myself, just trying to put it somewhere, I got myself a little something a little darker this time. So it's a I could say it's a Coke, but I've got to be honest and say it's not a, well, it is a Coke, but it's got a bit of whiskey in it, and I'm enjoying it. Right, what are we up to? We're up to 24. I'll just give another couple of minutes. Welcome back, everybody. We're going to go into Richard F's photographs. We are now exactly halfway through, so we will be done in time. In fact, we should be, let me predict a time, we should be done about 10 to. So, hi Viv, welcome back. Pleased that the internet's playing ball again. So, welcome back to you. So, welcome back, everybody. I'm just going to get 1 or 2 things sorted, get rid of that, and open up the program that I need. So, I'm sure that you'll all agree that we have seen some very, very good images this evening. And we're not finished yet, because we had, as I said, we had 25 members, I think, if I remember right, sent in pictures, and that accounted to roughly 175, 180 images, because 2 or 3 people put an extra one in, and I put 8 in, so because I couldn't choose, so I put the odd one in extra. So we're on to Richard F. Thank you very much, Richard, for sending your pictures in. Excuse me. So, right, off we go. The first image of Richard's is Barn Owl, taken with the Nikon D300. This is a male, and although wild, is supplementary fed by the landowner. The bird is 50 meters away, and the camera was supported on a monopod. I just love birds of prey, especially owls. I'm with you on that one, mate. I absolutely love the raptors. I don't get out enough to do enough of them, but I'm always up for seeing a good bird of prey. Lincoln Cathedral at night, taken on our night photography evening, 5th of March 2020. Nikon D7500 camera on a tripod. Just like the way it turned out. I must admit, I like the colour of this. When they put these lights on, I think it gives it a very natural look. So I do like that one. Excuse me, folks, a sec. Oh dear. Red deer stag, taken from the driving seat of my car on the A82 as we were returning from a Christmas break in Scotland. Was driving slowly along the road due to lying snow, and we saw this stag in the roadside field just feeding and posing. Nikon Coolpix P90. Male polar bear. Named him Snowy. Taken from the viewing platform at the rear of Tundra Buggy near Churchill, Hudson Bay, Canada. We were on a Ruby wedding anniversary holiday, especially to see the polar bears, and weren't disappointed. Nikon D300. Polar bear cubs. This photo is called Now Look Here. Do that again and I'll tell your mum, and I'll tell mum. Taken on the same holiday as above and on the same day, but from inside the Tundra Buggy, through glass and a blizzard. The cubs were quite a long way away and the camera was entirely handheld. Nikon D300. I can just hear Bob saying, what you want to do with that picture, mate, is you want to use a little bit of DAs on it. Red grouse. Almost won a competition round. Taken on the 10th of February 2015 along the track leading from Cauldron Force Waterfall to Cow Green Reservoir in Upper Teesdale. I was lucky to get anywhere near it, especially as I was accompanied by my wife, no problem, and a border terrier, potentially a problem. Nikon D300. Thank you very much for those images. Very, very nice, as are all the rest. Right, these next images are from Chris Peen. So thank you very much, Chris, for sending these in. Very much appreciated, as with everyone. All images are taken mainly with a Nikon D7100 body. No filters, gadgets or gizmos. In other words, what you're trying to say is you're a plain Jane, Chris. Gentleman Jack. This character was taken at the Lincoln Steampunk Festival last year. There was a female linking her hand through his arm, dressed in period costume. However, she was not only wearing 21st century glasses, her hair was not period either. I decided to remove her from the image, hoping the texture of his jacket would hide any trace of her imprint on his clothing. Hang on, I'm having a really good look. No, I don't know whether anybody else can see it, but I can't. Dragonfly. My very first attempt at using a macro lens. Produced this creature clinging to a plant a couple of years ago, never being able to see something this close with the naked eye before. Nikon with a 105mm lens. Heat haze. Whilst out on a wildlife recce on the east coast, I looked to my left and noticed two people walking in the extreme distance. I lifted my camera to have a look and liked what I saw through the heat haze. As I tried to focus and alter the settings, a boat appeared just as I clicked the shutter. This was taken with a Sigma. Short irons. Towards the end of last year, I had an idea for a still life with a difference, a low-key image using my phone, trying to replicate what my mind was seeing as another story involving not enough arms and legs, hands and fingers, tinfoil and the use of a little sunlight through a corridor before it disappeared. I have not been able to reproduce the same image with my camera since. Who are we? P20 Lite. Spotty colours. Whilst we're all on lockdown, Confined to our homes in early April this year, I decided to mooch around the home with camera in hand and have some fun. I picked up one object, placed a couple of bits with colour behind the object, snapped a pic and took the post-processing and had a play with all of the sliders to my heart's content for fun and enjoyment. The object, one side of a small metal cheese grater, held in one hand, camera in the other, use of sunlight through window, taken with a Sigma. Through the railway carriage and beyond, taken at the National Railway Museum, York, last November. I wanted to include the people in between both carriages in the cafe area in the middle to give it a feel of being on a train. The image was taken in colour and converted to black and white in post-processing. The lens hood and camera settings help provide the reflection from the outer area of the initial carriage window and darker area to the rear of the first compartment window, taken with the Sigma. Yeah, it does. It looks like a train going past, doesn't it? Thank you very much there, Chris. Excellent images as well as all of the others. Right, these are the favourite 6's of Caroline S. So we only have 2 Carolines, so you'll know who you are. Thank you very much, Caroline, for sending your selection in. First of them is Early Morning Ferry, Kashmir. This really conjures up thoughts in your mind. I love this shot because it's an interesting image and because it brings back memories of an amazing trip in the company of my favourite people. We'd slept on our Shakiras small boats, tied up on the river bank near a village where a generation had never seen a white person except on TV. At the time, we didn't know how worried our guide, my friend's father-in-law, was about us being found by terrorists. I just got up to find the facilities behind a bush and fortunately had with me my compact camera. We all go with a PowerShot A95. It was 14 years ago. There was no time to think about settings. I just fired up a couple of shots before the moment passed. Moving on swiftly. Burnet moths on scabious. Since I bought my first proper camera 40 years ago now, I've enjoyed taking pictures of flowers, insects and other wildlife. At that time I was conservation officer for Devon Wildlife Trust and needed pictures to illustrate talks, to walks, etc. This is a far from perfect shot, but one I just like, particularly as it was taken on Swift's Hill in the Cotswolds where I grew up. It was taken on a compact Panasonic Lumix TZ60. Sorry, I'm just working out the name. Verbascum. As well as wildlife, I love my garden and I like this image because it captures the colour and texture of one of my favourite plants, whose ancestor was dug up from a good friend's garden around 25 years ago. I can remember, I'm going to stop it just there, just a sec. I can remember my father was the manager at the shop, Pennell's shop down Brant Road, and he ran the shop down there. And when I, as a lad, went anywhere with me mum and dad, me dad would always have his handy gardener's extremely sharp knife and used to take little cuttings from the gardens that we visited, and mum would have to put them into a purse and take them home and we'd have to plant them. So I'm sure there's one or two of you out there might have done the same thing. So, whose ancestor was dug up from a good friend's garden around 25 years ago. And the complementary colours of purple alliums and blue forget-me-nots show in the background. It was taken on my relatively new Panasonic Lumix FZ330. I'll tell you what, you are really trying me with these names. Right. Chihuly Reflection on Nature at Kew. To continue the theme of plants, I visited the Chihuly Reflections on Nature exhibition at Kew twice last year. I've been a fan of Chihuly. You keep getting me doing it, don't you? I've been a fan of Chihuly since first seeing his permanent exhibition, Gardens and Glass, in Seattle when visiting my brother. His glass sculptures are wonderful, but what makes them extra special is the way they're displayed amongst the vegetation. Again with the Lumix. Locktack Lake Sunset. This image is from my first visit to Manipur State in northeast India last November and reminds me of a magic moment from an amazing trip we spent. We spent the night on a floating island on Locktack Lake from where we watched the sunset. It went down very fast, so I didn't have time to play around much with the settings. Poor excuse. Actually, Caroline wrote that, not me. It was taken on the Nikon Coolpix B700. Bought second hand to get myself back into proper cameras. We didn't really bond, so I'm pleased to have traded it in for the Lumix FZ330. Just grab a slurp. Right. Mullock Gat Flower Market. I think, Caroline, up to this moment in time, you've been the most trying with these words. This image has been included despite its faults, because I can feel in it the atmosphere of early morning Kolkata at the start of my latest Indian trip. The people buying and selling in the wholesale flower market were totally oblivious to the occasional tourist, as they are irrelevant to their lives. I spent the day on my own in the city before flying north to Manipur, and so was able to concentrate on taking photographs without the distraction of company. I don't often take pictures of people, and what I learned, unfortunately, in retrospect, was that if you can't see the subject's eyes, you don't get a great picture. Next time, if there is one. Right, thank you very much indeed for those. Very much appreciated. Right, the next ones, we're on to our good club member, friend up in Scotland there. Hope everything's fine with you up there, Jan. Do take care, and thank you very much for sending your images in. Right, the first one is Ferris wheel. Colours and shape interesting against the night sky. Taken with iPhone 6. Flood. Gave a good representation of the force of water against the still background. iPod Nano. The reflection of woman's earrings makes an interesting photo against the jewellery display. Yeah, all fits in very nicely. iPhone 6. Landscape. Depth of photo layers leading up to the mountains in the background. Very, very nice. Yep. iPhone 6. Tarn Perfect Blue. Sorry, I'll start again. Tarn. Perfect blue of the tarn within the backdrop of rippling hills. iPhone 6. Dandelion. a single stem in the field, intact petals standing proud. From the summer picture. iPhone 6 again. Well, I must admit, Jan, all of your phones being on the iPhone are certainly great images. Thank you very much for those. Right, moving on to young Dave now. So this is Dave L. And thank you very much, Dave, for sending your pictures in this evening. Once again, with some great images coming through. So straight on to the next one. This is one that I have to read as well. So I'm wondering where my notes are, and they're on a piece of paper in front of me. Right, this girl with a, and I must admit, because I've got them in the format that I haven't got any titles with the images. So apologies for that if they were sent through with the images, but I haven't got them. So this girl with her unfriendly, harsh demeanour and general negative appearance would have been well out of place in many of the images I took. However, she was perfect for this shoot. Perfect. A sight you are unlikely to see again on this canal. The owner took his cargo vessel, although he used it solely as a pleasure vessel, out for a 24-hour spin. A great winter day, a great catch for me in my cuttings album. A total fantasy shot, with bits of background plucked from many sources. A great model, and one of my favourites. It's alright, when I go quiet there, it's because I look up and I don't have a quick look at the pictures. Another great model. This shot... It's alright, I'm looking up to look at the model. Another great model. This shot was a compilation of various bits from the old quarrying area of Lincoln. Although it was put together on a computer, the model never posed there. Too cold, too muddy, and too likely to attract unwanted attention. Definitely. This is not a guy serving out his time in a harsh prison. That is, however, what struck me at first sight of the shot. This, in fact, is a scene from Pike Place Market, Seattle, USA. It shows an odd bit of building on its own in part of the market structure. Serving what purpose? Ain't got a clue. Lincoln heroic football team readying fixtures for the match in the early morning. Opposite, you can just spot the challengers doing similar preparations. Yep, we can just see them down the bottom there, can't we? Right, I'll just put that piece of paper out the way. Excuse me. Right, the next image is from Gail. Thank you very much, Gail, for sending your pictures in. Once again, a good records from everybody. Straight into the next one. Clouds. As we all know, Gail really likes her sunsets, sunrises, clouds, etc., cloud formation, and she gets some super images. Right, straight into it. Clouds. I love taking photos of cloud formations. The stormier the better. I get frustrated that I can't get the definition as clearly as I can see it, but I know it's just a matter of practice. Laughing seal. I took this on Christmas Day at Donanook, just after dawn. Always wanted to see them. Just makes you laugh, doesn't it? Roller coming in. Love the sea when it's rough and waves are crashing against the shore. I prefer the raw energy shots rather than the milky ND ones. I must admit, and I've not said many about the other images that we've had tonight, but this is one that Gail took when we was up in Scotland in March, when I was with Tony and Jill. And out of her images that she did, I must admit, this is a stunning image, and I just love the image. Well done on that one, Gail. Sunrise. Love trying to catch the sunrise. The colours are beautiful, and it can look like the sky is on fire. On the other hand, sunset. Don't always catch these, as I'm either driving or facing the wrong way and don't see them. Yeah, it's just a matter of being in the right place at the right time, isn't it? Tree creeper. Having developed a liking for bird photography since going on the photo tours with GD. This was in Scotland on our last hol at Lochgarten. Right, we're straight into Susie's pictures. You'll see her as Gromit on the notes there. So this is young Susie. Right, you're another challenging one here, Susie. Right, Lake Vyrnwy. Yeah, that sounds about right. Lake Vyrnwy, Wales. One of the most beautiful places we have stayed in. Taken from our hotel room. Fantastic wildlife, and would recommend it as a place to visit. It reminds me of the week spent there. Wells next to sea. Climate change demonstration. The harbour was used as a backdrop for various events to highlight this important message, and the group just stood out and made you think. It's either that reading all this text out is just beginning to take its toll, or I like this whiskey and Coke much better than I did the water. Right, moving on. Sagrada Familia. Again, just an amazing place to visit, and incredible to think that it is still not finished. I remembered thinking, what would Antonio Gaudi think of it if he could come back and see it? Seal pup at Donanook. The eyes draw you in, and I just think what a tough time he is going to have, and hope he makes it out there. Llama. He has such a chilled out, taking things easy look about him. Yep, definitely. I must admit, this is out of the images tonight. I do like this one as well. It's a very, very nice image. Man and hound in harmony. My favourite lockdown photo. I have met them a few times out walking, and the relationship they have is clear to see. The dogs just love running along. Right, we're now on to Nick's photos. Nick is Gromit's partner, so these are Nick's pictures. Thank you for sending them in this evening, Nick. And I think we've had a couple of your images in the past, but this is the largest showing as yet, I think. Right, the first one is black-throated thrush. It baffles me how an Asian bird ends up on a busy roundabout in Grimsby and seems so unconcerned. I must admit that I went off to Grimsby when it was there and we got it, but not quite as good as this. It just didn't pose quite right for us, but very nice image, Nick. Snow bunting taken at Bempton Cliffs. When I showed this photo to the warden at the reserve, he informed me that the bird had almost probably originated from a remote part of Scandinavia, and that I was probably the first human it had encountered. Lovely bird, snow bunting. Netlham Beck. I think Netlham is a beautiful village, and in particular the beck running through the centre with a lovely prunus tree in full bloom. Ducks and pigs. A photo I took whilst in lockdown, and the site used to be a pig farm in the early 1900s. Love all the old pigs in the background. Right, thank you for those. Next images are from Mike Hubbert. As you all know, we've got quite a lot of Mikes, so I have put, we've got quite a lot of Mike H's, so I've had to put the names. All of the chat is stopped from being seen after the show, so. Right, the first one. Athens Tired Beauty. Another funny. Oh, I've put that. Sorry about that, but I read this one and I chuckled to myself because of I read it to myself totally wrong to start with. I'll read you it and you'll, I think, grasp what I'm saying. My first visit to this wonderful city of contrast. I just saw this building walking down a street, and it's clearly not one of the great tourist sites. But I didn't quite read it like that. Of course, I just read it like, saw this building walking down a street. Oh, okay, I'll go on. And it's clearly not one of the great tourist sites. But it has its own beauty with the decay and graffiti all mixed together, and what would once have been a super building taken with a cannon. Gatehouse Woods, taken at Holtonley Moor on a lockdown walk. I grew up here, and playing and bike riding in these woods was a regular day for me. Canon PowerShot G9. Hackthorne Park, another lockdown walk. The sky makes this picture with the path leading towards it. It's simple, but the pathway makes you want to walk this way. iPhone 8. Lighthouse at Sunset, taken in Lanzarote. I can say that word. I was told the sunset here was something special. I took many photos, this being about the best. The sun rays from the clouds are not spectacular, but add some interest. Reminds me of better times. Canon PowerShot G9. Lupins and I can never say that. Allium. Yeah, allium. That'll do. I've taken quite a few in my garden during lockdown. Always love the lupin spires, and they are developing in a nice contrast to the alliums. iPhone SE. Valencia Fountain. A beautiful night scene that I found hard to capture, but it does bring back happy memories of our last trip abroad. The lights, water and trees, as well as the fountain itself, combined to make a great memory. Canon PowerShot G9. Right, we're moving on to our next person. Thank you very much for those images from the last author. Thank you very much indeed. Thank you as also to David for his that we're about to see. Right. Snowy Owl. International Centre for Birds of Prey. Taken October 2019. Always wanted to go here as the founder, Jemima Parry Jones, has done. I think that read right, but and continues to do a lot for conservation. La Roche Gageek 1410. This was on a very hot day in the Dordogne, very scenic area. Want to go back. Lincoln people watching 3750. This was taken with Canon 70D. I was sat outside the Magna Carta having a cheeky pint. Cheeky? Ooh. He wasn't you supposed to be doing. He was oblivious to me. Just caught the moment right there. I'm coughing and spluttering. I'm going to have a drink while I think about it. Right, I think I've worked it out. Mark Kleberger. This was taken on a very cold January evening after visiting Colditz, taken with a 70D 18135 kit. Balanced on a wall. Well done. Arlington Row, Cotswolds. It was a snap that has been improved as best as possible with my new acquisition of Photoshop and Lightroom Classic. I edited 2 people out and lifted it as best as possible. Very nice place. I half remember, and I might be wrong, and I think it was Graham H. who had a picture of that place years ago. Might be wrong. Mousel was taken on auto, so no real skill used, but like the image, taken in 2014. Right, we're on to Neil's pictures now, so thank you for those last images, and thank you, Neil, for sending yours in. This photo was taken whilst on a walk in Chambers Farm Wood. I was walking along when I spotted this squirrel happily foraging away. I raised the camera slowly, but he saw me and made a dash for it up this tree and into this hole. Could have called it peekaboo. I had not had a chance to do the Barron Trail around Lincoln, so when they announced they would all be in one place at the castle, I went up early one morning. There's a song there, isn't there? Early one morning and queued to get it. I waited for what seemed like an eternity before there was nobody in shot, and I literally had a split second to fire off this photo before somebody else stepped into the shot. A friend of mine who lives in the village had just had some chocolate Labrador puppies. Her dog, not her. And she asked if I could take some photos of them, both as a group and individuals, so when she rehomed them she could give the new owners some photos to take with them. I started to have a go at fire spinning. Right, this is it. Neil is the new adopted DCC fire spinner. We'll all take the pictures. He knows how to do the spinning, so we'll get that night organised, Neil. Thank you for volunteering. I started to have a go at fire spinning to see if I could get anything worthwhile photo-wise. After a few attempts I started to get the hang of it. I then decided to have a go at seeing if I could get the night sky. So this shot was taken at 30-second exposure with an ISO of 100 at f8. I managed to get the International Space Station in transit, the little white line, as well as Orion's belt, the 3 dots just above the fireball. Sorry, I just had a sneaky look there. So not only was I happy I didn't catch fire, but I managed to get some space elements too. This hummingbird hawk moth was in my greenhouse when I first found it. It had got caught in a spider's web, and obviously the spider did not fancy its chances. I carefully removed it from the web and got some close-up shots of it on my hand before popping it on the nearest buddleia. So it gave me about 5 minutes window to try and catch it feeding whilst hovering, and this was the best of the bunch from them. This final one for me was more luck than judgment, because I couldn't find my DSLR mount for my telescope, so I used my phone mount instead. I used a cheap phone mount that goes over the eyepiece of the telescope and then put the phone camera into manual mode. I only noticed the other night when I read this, I thought I'm going to say something here, I've got to. The other night when Grahame was judging that it is actually backwards as the telescope produces a mirror image. Right, well, I think we should withdraw that one from the entry. No, it's very good for a camera alternatives image. It is still a very good image. Thank you for those, Neil. Right, we're on to Paul Walker. Thank you very much, Paul. Paul's not with us this evening. He did send a message saying he wouldn't be with us, but he will be watching it later, and next week he is definitely going to be fighting for the front seat again. So this one's called Mum and Son at Filey. Taken on a family holiday in North Yorkshire, photographs are often a journey in our memories, and this particular photo brings with it a flood of happy memories of this and other family holidays. An older photograph, as our son is now 21. It was taken with a Nikon D70 and a kit lens. This one's called Christmas Day Sunset. A fairly wet and muddy walk on Christmas Day 2019 after a large meal. Just before the sunset, and I was able to catch the last glimmers of light. I liked the leading lines and the reflection of the sky in the water to give a hint that the day was pleasant. Probably not a competition photo, but we do get some great winter sunsets in Lincolnshire. Nikon D300. At home with Peter. There is a long way back story to this shot. My wife was adopted at birth, and a couple of years ago we were able to meet her natural father. Some of you may know of him, Peter Sinfield. He was in King Crimson in the late 60s and early 70s, a very talented poet and lyricist. He has an amazing study that is just full of fun and quirky stuff. An Aladdin's cave of photogenic items. I was able to capture him pondering if the parrot was indeed real. Nikon D300. The pylons. Drummer. Drummers are often at the back of the stage, poorly lit and move quickly. Not a great combination for trying to photograph without the aid of a flash. The pylons played in Lincoln last year and I was asked to take some shots. This is my son on the drums. Catch light in the eyes, a blur in the hands showing the drummer's intent and glance towards his bandmate made for a reasonable attempt at gig photography. Once again with the Nikon. French Bull. Out on a day trip in the Camage in 2019. These guys were playing ball in the town of Sainte Marie de la Mer, Sainte Marie by the Sea. It converted well to monochrome, and with a splash of selective colour, it makes me smile. A beer, a cigarette, good company, and some gentle sport played with passion makes for intriguing image. Nikon D300 again. Delhi Monument. Delhi Monument. On a trip to New Delhi, I was able to walk around some of the gardens in central Delhi. This youngster was playing oblivious to the fact that it made a nice image, converted to selected colour to make the ball stand out. It draws you away from the youngster to the ball and then into the detail of the walls, once again with a Nikon. Right, and if you remember at the beginning, I said that these images were in order of them coming in. Then these are the last ones. So our ex-chairman of 2018-19, Mr. Jim Blaney, you're up, mate. Right, here we go with the first one. Bears. Very much a favourite of mine. Just on a mountain guided tour. Patting myself and these wonderful animals. I hope my photo does them justice. 2 5-year-old bears having fun together. Panasonic G9. Christmas carols. As many may know, I take pictures for the Welton News, covering local events and stories. This picture was taken at the switching on of the Christmas lights in 2018. The photo is made by the little boy who has spotted something. Canon 7D Mark II. Jim has just put a little note in here. We talk about noising in images on high ISOs, but when you look at the image, if you study it, you do see the bit of noise, but take the image in and you don't. So this one was taken at 25,600 ISO. Have you got the picture? Photo taken at Fat Cat Motor Park. Enjoy going there on practice days. I particularly like the way the rider is looking at the camera. In this instance, I have left all the background in the shot as I think it adds to the atmosphere. Canon 7D Mark II. Have to get back there, Jim, and try it on the old G9. See how you get on with that one. Red, white and blue triptych. As you know, Grahame used part of one YouTube night to tell us how to do a triptych. Our parish council decided to encourage local businesses to do a red, white and blue display when they opened after lockdown. Very patriotic. I was asked to come up with something for the Welton News, and this is what I did. Panasonic G9. Tawny owl. Thanks to Neil that I was able to get this photo as he showed me where the owl was. It was nesting in a hole in an old dead tree. If it thought you were too close, it would jump back down into the tree. The image is cropped to show off the camouflage that makes the owl almost invisible against the tree. Canon 7D Mark II. This is your very last picture of the evening, ladies and gentlemen. So this photo was taken on a cruise into the Arctic. Right at the top of Norway lies Tromsø, and by climbing up the hill behind Tromsø you get a wonderful view. It clearly shows the northern landscape, and I like the way it picks out the roofs of the houses. Canon 7D Mark II. So, those are your images from this evening. So, thank you very much for sharing those images with us this evening. They were an absolute great selection of images, and I felt honoured to be able to show all the members these images and to share them with you and read out the short bits that people have put about their images. As I say, I do apologise for having to shorten them, but as you can see, if I just look, we are spot on time really. We're just 2 minutes past 9, so that's worked out well. So for Caroline and Ray, that was approximately 180 photographs, and that was the time that it's taken me to read out those bits from the editors of the photographs. Just so that you know what's coming up, folks, we have next week Ray, our vice chairman, who will be showing you some of his photographs, and as I have done with these photographs tonight, he will be sharing some information with you, and his talk will be The Road to Mandalay, a trip through Myanmar, Burma. So that's next week. So do make sure that you get your place on the front seat for that, because it'll be an interesting one. The following week we have Caroline, who is our club secretary, and Caroline O will be showing us some of her images. Not got a title for Caroline's yet, but nevertheless it will be another great evening. Don't forget to get those entries in for the terrestrial transport competition. I don't know the exact time when they need to be in, but do make sure that you get your entries in time. Right, let me just read a few of these notices that's come through. Oh, Nick Cam. Is it Nick who's waiting for new camera gear to come through, or is it Gromit that's waiting for it to come through? One or the other. We've got another new camera owner. New Olympus Road. Oh yeah, I saw that announced for Olympus users. Yeah, we saw that today, and I'm waiting for my special bird tracking bit on my camera. Well, the new Nikon D6 and Nikon. Oh, right, okay. Somebody's got to buy a Nikon, haven't they? Love the irons, love that, love this. Clever Chris, blah blah blah. Brilliant. Caroline, train. Yeah, it basically the comments tonight are to each other. So thank you for sharing your thoughts with each other. I'm still looking down them all. I'm nearly to the bottom now. So thanks for another great evening. Sue's put thanks for another great evening. I mean, she's put we do appreciate all your hard work, and I don't know whether she's put that to me, but I must say that it's not. I'm only sat here reading them out. All of you have done the hard work with getting the images together, getting them in time so that I can share them with you all. So thank you very much for that. Thanks everybody, some great images. Ray, great images. Jim, really enjoyed it, seeing the images tonight. Entertaining evening, good. Thanks for that, Tony. Thank you very much, GD. And contribution, very enjoyed, very interesting. Mark, thanks everyone. Thanks, good evening. Yep, everybody's. Oh, Jill's just dropped at the bottom there. 9th of July is the cut-off date for the entries for the terrestrial transport competition. Do make sure you look at the rules on that one, because there is a couple of rules about no sport spikes and this, that and the other. So make sure you look at your rules in that one. So it is now gone time. It's just coming up 10 past. Thank you very much again for joining us this evening, and we will catch you all next week. Cheers for now.